How's it going out there, YouTubers? Cybernex Shark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this review and see what's about. So I just got back from seeing the new, awesome, dramatic horror thriller film, Stephen King's It. Now, this is a second iteration in film of this graphic novel that Stephen King wrote back in 1986. Now, it is an awesome book in itself, and so them trying to remake a classic book into an amazing movie is a very hard feat. And with this one, they did a decent job that made it enjoyable and watchable. The 1990 version, I still feel, is the best one that they've created so far. Definitely don't think that the new one is as good as all the hype is talked about, but it is an interesting and a decent film. So, this particular film is just very interesting, and I don't feel that it was very well conceived all the way, because I feel that it was very rushed and that it wasn't fully conceived, and really all the bits and parts from the book were really iterated into the movie. Unfortunately, there was a lot of gaps, and unfortunately the character development really suffered in this film. Now, this film is directed by Andy Muschietti. Now, Andy Muschiett's only other directing credit is the 2013 film Mama that starred Jessica Chastain. Now, that was a big hit. It was a big success, so I feel that's one of the reasons why they garnered him to direct this film. I mean, he did a decent job with directing this film. It wasn't like the greatest direction, and it wasn't the greatest editing for the film, and, taking out so much. I mean, he still did a decent job with what he actually put together. And that I was impressed with. Even though it was kind of fast-paced and all that, he still did a decent job of making it interesting and enjoyable. Now, this movie has a very young, diverse cast. And majority of the cast actually really doesn't have any other acting or film credits. Few bit parts here and there in movies, nothing of real notable, mention. But at the same time, they also have done some other TV work as well. Like one of the gentlemen that plays the Mike Connellan in the film, he actually has a recurring role on the TV show Hawaii Five-0 actually. And a few of the other people, like I said, have had little cameos in TV shows as well. Now, the person they picked to play Pennywise, the dancing clown, is none other than Mr. Bill Skarsgård. Now, Bill Skarsgård has been in a few movies over the last 10 years or so, and he's made himself a new and upcoming actor that is decent, that I've seen in other films, but not at the same time as polished as, say, his brother is, Mr. Alexander Skarsgård. And a couple of his other films that he's been in are a couple films that were considered, one was considered a flop, the other was considered a big success. Now, the first one I'm talking about that was a big flop was the Divergent series, Allegiant. He was actually in that film. I don't really remember or recall what role he played, but I do remember that it was a decent part and that he did a decent job. Now, the movie that he was in that was very successful that also came out this year was the Charlize Theron film Atomic Blonde. Now, I haven't seen Atomic Blonde yet, so I don't really know how his role was in the film, but I heard good things about it. And it's too bad, because in this film, I just feel he was mistypecast in the role of Pennywise. He just wasn't really anything of great value as Pennywise. I mean, compared to Tim Curry in the original 1990 series, he was nothing like it. And there was certain parts in the film where he's kind of talking, trying to act like Tim Curry, and then at the same time, it's like he all of a sudden starts drooling, which I found just not necessary for the role. But definitely there was a couple parts that I feel that he was decent in and was enjoyable in the film. Now, the other notable actor that's in the film that has had some other bigger roles is Mr. Jaden Lieberher. Now, Jaden Lieberher has done a couple other bigger films that have come out this year and a few years ago. And particularly one that came out this year was called The Book of Henry. And he plays kind of like the main male prodigy in the film. And that movie really showed kind of his acting ability. And I felt that he was really good in this film. Really well done. Really, he was probably one of the best actors, I think, of the kids in the film. And definitely I could see it through his work in Book of Henry. So the other film that he was in was the awesome 2015 film Aloha that starred Bradley Cooper. Now, that was considered kind of a successful but yet a box office bomb as well. But at the same time, it had a good story, and it was directed by Cameron Crowe, who has done a lot of great films. And that was also another movie that this Jaden Lieberher really showed his acting chops in too as well. So I think he was a really good choice in the film. I don't think he was at all contributing to the overall part of the film being kind of sucky. So if you're not familiar with what It is about, the basic premise of the film It, or also the novel, is basically there's this creature that comes up every 27 years and feeds on children and their fears. And this group of kids that are considered losers are the only ones that can see him, and also are the only ones that are keeping him from wanting to eat them. And they kind of band together to try to kill him. So they get together and they actually supposedly they think they kill him, but 27 years goes by, and they now are become adults, and now they have to do this all over again. But even though they're adults now, when adults couldn't see them to begin with, they can still see him and are come back to Derry to battle him again, basically. And that's pretty much what the premise of it is. This particular movie, though, is only half of the story. It's only supposed to be when they're kids. And I didn't really realize that at first until I actually saw it, and it says at the end of the movie, It Chapter 1. And then I found out that they're already doing a sequel and that it's going to be about them as adults. Unlike the miniseries, which covered it all, this one kind of failed on that too, because I feel they could have put it all together and just made a really long movie. But at the same time, if they took their time and they really wanted to put together the whole book in all of its glory, take the time and actually make the first part like 3 hours, make the second part 3 hours, like they did with the Harry Potter 7th book and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. That's was a really good way of showing a really long book and making it and showing everything as much as they possibly could. That is a perfect example of that. And they totally should have done that with this film, because I totally feel this first chapter was very rushed. Like I said, you didn't really get to understand the characters, their development, unlike the miniseries where you get to know this. And just better casting too, I feel. Even though the kids were decent in it, I still feel they could have picked better actors for the movie. Other than that, though, I think the movie was definitely interesting, very well done, great graphics, great musical score, and it was enjoyable. I give this one 6 Golden Movie Boxes up out of 10. I think it's decent. It's definitely something I would like to add to my collection when it comes out, simply for the fact that I think it'd be fun to watch again eventually, even though it's not as good as the miniseries as in my opinion, I feel. And other than that, I just think it was all around not as big as the hype has been for the film. Definitely, it's amazing that it's making as much money as it is. That's wonderful. Really bringing horror genre back up into the movie rankings, which we need, because horror movies are awesome. And just an all around, it was an interesting film. Definitely worth a watch. Definitely go check it out. It's definitely fun. Not anything as great as they're saying in the tabloids, but definitely fun to watch. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. As always, please keep your eyes out for any old or newer videos you might not have seen on yet. As always, please leave comments down below. Let me know if you like to see a different type of film in a review in the future. Or if you have an idea for a different type of review or type of video you like to see. And as always, catch you in the next one.